All right, let me tell you something, because this one's wild. Sometimes in life, you come across people who don't just fight. They change the entire way you look at fighting. They make you sit up straighter. They make you lean in closer. And you can feel it like deep in your gut that this person is different, like they're pulling from some source of energy the rest of us don't even know how to tap into. And that's the thing about this story we're about to dive into. It's not just about another UFC star. It's about a dude who embodies something ancient, something primal, something that makes you believe in discipline, chaos, and beauty, all rolled into one. And when you watch him move, when you listen to the way he talks about his philosophy, you start realizing this isn't just about cage fighting. This is about the human experience itself. It's about growth, about testing yourself, about finding out what the hell you're really made of. And that's why I want you to hang in here with me, because this ride we're about to take, it's not going to feel like some sports breakdown. It's going to feel like you're staring straight into the soul of what combat sports is supposed to be. And if you've ever needed that little fire lit under your ass to chase something, to break patterns, to create your own path, trust me, by the time we're done, you're going to feel it. Man, the wildest thing about Jiří is that he's not just a fighter. He's a dude who actually embodies this ancient samurai spirit. Like, you can feel it when he talks, when he walks, when he fights. It's not just some gimmick or a nickname. This guy literally lives by Bushido, the old code of honor, discipline, and self-mastery. And that's what makes him so fascinating, because in an era where fighters are obsessed with social media, clout, and talking trash, here's a guy meditating under waterfalls in the freezing cold, isolating himself in nature, reading philosophy, writing journals about self-improvement, like he treats martial arts as a way of life. Not just a job. And when he fights, you can see it. You can see the calm before the storm. That laser focus where it looks like he's tapping into something deeper than just the moment, like he's channeling hundreds of years of warrior mindset, and it changes how he approaches combat, because he doesn't fight to win in a conventional sense. He fights to test himself, to push his limits, to live by that code that says you give everything of yourself in battle. And that's why his style is so unorthodox, because it's not mechanical. It's not something you can break down with charts and stats. It's pure expression, pure flow, like water and chaos mixed into one. And you realize that philosophy gives him freedom, because he doesn't fight with fear of losing. He fights with the honor of showing up fully present, giving everything, leaving nothing behind. And that's terrifying for opponents, because how do you break a guy who doesn't care about conventional success, who only cares about living as a warrior? And that's the thing, man. Jiří is a reminder that martial arts at its core isn't just about punches and kicks. It's about the cultivation of mind, body, and spirit. And you rarely see that in modern MMA at such a deep level. It's like he's brought back this forgotten piece of what it means to be a martial artist. And when you watch him, whether he wins or loses, you feel like you're watching something bigger than a fight. You're watching a man live his philosophy in real time. And that's rare, that's special. That's why he's so captivating. Dude, the thing about Jiří's fighting style is that it doesn't make sense on paper. Like, you watch him and he's got his hands low, his head movement is all over the place. He's throwing strikes from angles that coaches would scream at you for even trying in the gym. But that's exactly what makes him so damn dangerous. Because he doesn't fight by the book. He fights from instinct, from flow, from this raw, unpredictable rhythm that completely throws people off. And that's the nightmare for anyone in the cage with him, because how do you prepare for a guy who doesn't even know what he's going to do next until the moment presents itself? He's like chaos with purpose, like he's downloading you in real time and then exploding with this wild spinning elbow, this looping punch, or some awkward strike that lands flush because it's so unorthodox. And the beauty of it is that it's not just wild for the sake of being wild. It's calculated chaos. It's rooted in his philosophy, his ability to embrace unpredictability and turn it into a weapon. And when you're watching him fight, it almost feels like you're watching a video game character with cheat codes on. Like he's glitching the system in real time, and opponents get frozen because nothing looks familiar, nothing feels safe. He lures you in with these odd movements, makes you think he's vulnerable, and then boom, he unloads something you never saw coming. And that's the essence of why people can't stop watching him, because he's not just fighting a man across the cage, he's fighting the conventional structure of how MMA is supposed to look. And every time he steps in there, you know you're going to see something insane that you've never seen before. Man, The thing about Jishi's rise in the UFC is that it's one of those stories that just doesn't happen often. Like you see guys work their way up, slow grind, taking years to crack into the rankings. And then you've got this dude who just walks into the biggest fight organization in the world and immediately makes a statement that can't be ignored. It's like a shockwave went through the division the moment he stepped in, because here's this wild samurai-looking dude from the Czech Republic fighting with his hands down, doing spinning attacks, moving like a video game character, and he's not just pulling it off, he's finishing guys, knocking out legit killers. And that's the kind of thing that makes the UFC machine stop and pay attention, because hype is one thing, but delivering on that hype right out of the gate is something else, and that's what Jiří did. He skipped the whole adjustment period that most fighters go through. He came in and showed the world that he wasn't here to test the waters. He was here to take over. And it's crazy because you can almost feel the momentum building behind him with every fight. Fans tuning in like, what the hell is this guy going to do next? And the UFC loves that. They love unpredictability. They love stars that just grab people's attention without even trying. And Jiří did that by being authentically himself, not playing by anyone else's rules. And when you think about how fast he climbed the ladder, it's insane. He went from being this unknown guy outside the hardcore fan base to headlining events and fighting for the belt in what felt like no time. And that's not just talent, that's aura, that's presence. That's a guy who has the skills but also has that X factor where the second he shows up, people want to see him fight, and that's the mark of someone destined for greatness, because the UFC doesn't hand out opportunities like that unless you force their hand by being undeniable, and Jiří forced it. He came in like a storm, wiped out contenders, and in just a few fights stamped his name as one of the most must-watch fighters in the entire sport. The thing about Jiří Procházka that blows my mind is his resilience. Like, you look at the guy and yeah, he's wild, unpredictable, super technical in this chaotic way, but what really sets him apart is that mental toughness and that ability to come back from the darkest situations, because this is a guy who's been cracked, he's been rocked, he's been put in positions where 99, it's not about looking flawless, it's about what you do when everything goes wrong. And Jiří has this almost mystical ability to survive chaos and then create his own, like even in that fight with Glover, man. He was taking shots, he was in deep waters, he looked exhausted, and somehow with a minute left, he pulls off a submission that no one saw coming. That's not just resilience, that's refusing to accept defeat. And you can't teach that. That comes from this insane belief in yourself, this iron will that no matter how bad it looks, you're still in the fight until the final bell. And that's what makes him so dangerous, because his opponents know you can't just hurt him and coast. You can't just survive and assume he's done, because Jiří will keep coming back with something unpredictable. And that wears on a fighter's mind. It's terrifying to fight someone who never breaks. And what's even crazier is how he bounces back outside the cage too. Like tearing that shoulder, having to pull out of the biggest fight of his career, people doubting whether he'd ever be the same, and then he comes back looking just as intense, just as committed, talking about growth and learning from the injury, like he turned something that could have broken most fighters mentally into fuel. And that's resilience at the highest level, not just physically enduring, but mentally transforming setbacks into comebacks. And that's why people rally behind him, because watching Jiří fight isn't just watching a fight. It's watching a man prove that the human spirit is capable of bouncing back from absolute hell and coming out stronger. And that's the kind of story that transcends sports. It inspires people who will never step in a cage, because it's about life. It's about how you handle adversity. And Jiří is a living example of how resilience turns pain into progress. When you talk about Jiří Procházka as the symbol of a new era, it's not just about another exciting fighter entering the UFC. It's about this massive shift in how we look at martial arts, fighting, and even the culture surrounding it. Because Jiří represents something that feels like the future of the sport. He's not built from the cookie-cutter MMA mold where you can predict the wrestling heavy guys or the polished kickboxers or the grapplers who grind people out. Instead, he's this wild, almost otherworldly blend of techniques, philosophies, and mental approaches, and it makes you realize that MMA has evolved past being just about toughness or discipline. It's now about artistry, about creating something new inside the chaos. And Jiří embodies that perfectly, because when you see him fight, it doesn't feel like you're just watching a competitor. It feels like you're watching a martial artist channeling something ancient and futuristic at the same time, like his samurai mindset mixed with this unpredictable fighting style, makes him feel like a bridge between tradition and evolution. And that's what a new era looks like. It's not about abandoning the old ways. It's about carrying them forward and remixing them into something bigger, something modern, something that speaks to the present. And you can tell this resonates with fans too, because people aren't just drawn to his knockouts. They're drawn to the energy he carries, the aura that says fighting isn't just sport. It's philosophy, it's identity. It's a way to express the human spirit, and the UFC itself benefits from that because when G shows up, it feels different. It feels like this is where the sport is heading, more creativity, more unpredictability, more fighters who think outside the box and make the cage their canvas. And that's why so many people call him the symbol of a new era, because he doesn't just win fights, he changes the way people think about fights. He changes the conversation about what MMA is and what it can be. And when you step back and look at the bigger picture, you realize every era in combat sports had that one figure who shifted everything, like Anderson Silva brought in the striking evolution. Khabib redefined dominance and control. And now Jiří is bringing in chaos as art, resilience as philosophy, unpredictability as a weapon. And that's the kind of energy that launches an entire sport into the next chapter. So when you step back and look at everything we've talked about, man, Jiří Procházka isn't just another fighter who made it to the top. He's the kind of guy that shifts the culture of the whole sport. Like when you watch him, you're not just thinking about wins and losses. You're watching the future of MMA unfold right in front of you. And that's a rare thing because every now and then you get these moments in combat sports where someone comes along and redefines what's possible. And Jiří is doing exactly that with his style, his mindset, his philosophy, all of it. And that's why I think people are so drawn to him, because it feels like he's opening doors to something new. He's showing the next generation of fighters that you don't have to fit in a box. You can make your own box. You can be raw, unorthodox, spiritual, and still dominate at the highest level. And that's the energy that keeps the sport alive. It's that sense of possibility of watching something you've never seen before and thinking, holy shit, the game just changed. And that's the beauty of combat sports, man. It's not just about two people fighting. It's about human beings pushing the limits of what they are, testing themselves, reinventing themselves, and inspiring millions of others to do the same in their own lives. So to everyone listening right now, thank you for sticking around. Thank you for being part of this wild ride. Keep your eyes open because the next chapter is just getting started. And whatever you're going after in your own life, attack it with that same warrior energy, with that same resilience. Because if there's one thing fighting teaches us, it's that you can get knocked down 1,000 times and still rise. And that's the real victory. So good luck, much love, and thank you guys for hanging out with me on this one.